Hi, Miss Adam. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Nice to see you.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome to Interlux.
Thank you. I'm a little bit nervous, but
No, that's okay. It's to be expected. So just to let you know, and to comply with GDPR, we're actually recording this interview, and I'll be making notes throughout. Where Interlux are complied by the Equity Act. So in that interest, why don't you tell me why you want to work for Interlux?
Yes. So I really want to move on to a bigger company, somewhere that offers a bit of stability, that has the potential to move around the company. I've heard great things about Interlux.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Just people saying that it's a really warm place to work, and they're really well taken care of. And I just wanted to be a part of a company that's actually growing. So that's what appealed to me the most.
Okay, excellent. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about your current role?
So at Frederick's at the moment, I just work front of house as a waiter, and it's great. We have a full house most of the times. I take care of the rosters, I take care of doing silver service, doing drinks, food, speaking with the customers. It's a really full rounded job, so I get to do a little bit of everything. I've been there for a while, so I'm now managing shifts as well, and I think it's really nice because they put a lot of trust in you, so I've had the ability and the chance to sort of be more than a waiter and show what else I can do as well. So
nice. Okay. What about exactly front of house do you enjoy?
I just love meeting people. I also like the fact that you can create experiences through food, and when the food's really good and the restaurant just speaks for itself and it has a good story. I like sort of seeing people smile when you take food to them, or just sort of make them feel at home. A lot of our customers come back a lot as well, so we get to know them, which is quite nice. And even just remembering what their favourite dishes are, it just means a lot to people. So
that's a nice touch.
Yeah. So it's really special, and I think you sort of become like an unspoken family with a lot of the customers, and I think that's really nice. They say like food brings people together, and I think that's the best thing about the job.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. Okay, so you enjoy the client-facing element of it. Interlux is quite high-end, and we have clients who, as you say, are returning, so it's really nice to have that personal relationship, but they definitely have very high standards, and they expect that of the staff. So have you ever had a circumstance where you've had to deal with an unhappy customer or a dispute with a customer?
Yes.
Could you give me an example of that?
Yes, absolutely. I think a good one to mention would be when a customer maybe wasn't aware of what's coming on the plate. It's the first time they're having something, and there's little elements such as certain fruits or certain nuts that they don't want to eat, and they're a little bit unhappy and they want to get it changed. And I think in that moment you just have to be really accommodating, and you have to be very understanding, and sort of explain that this is how the dish is served. However, we can absolutely make a new one or remove and add. So I think there's always an element of making sure that the customer gets what they want, and one of the ways that we try and minimize say unhappy customers is to make sure that from the get-go we'll let them know, to make us aware of any allergies, to let us know if they've got any preferences, to try and sort of gauge their spice level, for example. So we try and minimize that by making sure we ask these things ahead.
Yeah, get their personal preferences.
Exactly.
Yeah, excellent.
I think in general, unhappy customers, you're always going to find an unhappy customer. And I think it's all about how you deal with it in the moment. We've sort of been trained to obviously identify what the problem is, and see how best we can fix it there and then, whether it's taking something off the bill or whether it's replacing the meal.
So really thinking on your feet, being resourceful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think with the idea in mind that you want them to go away thinking that even even if they were unhappy, we dealt with it in a professional, immediate way.
Rectify the situation.
Exactly, and that allows them to come back and give you a second chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice, okay. So that's an example of a dispute with a customer. Have you ever had an issue with a colleague or maybe upper management, a direct manager, anything like that?
Yes, I think it's inevitable. I think working in food and beverage is really high pressure, and it's inevitable that at some point you're going to be on a different page to somebody. But again, I think it's the outcome and how you get there as well. Something that really comes to mind is when we were doing silver service, and I had a team that I had worked with for the whole week, and by that point we were very comfortable with each other. We had got into a flow, everybody knew their strengths, and it was great. Things would just work. And sort of last minute, there was a new manager on shift who wanted to change that up, and it would have really disturbed the service. I mean, not just for our team, but I think for a lot of teams. So there were a few of us who really had to essentially spend some time convincing a new manager who was experienced and thought they knew what they were doing was best, that actually we've been at it for a week and we can deal with it. Everybody's capable, and this is really to convince them to keep things moving as they are, because we know it works. I do think he made a few changes that worked, such as the route into the kitchen and out, things like that. But I think that's great. I think that's when you compromise as well. But then he let us keep the same teams, which allowed us to keep working in the same flow.
Nice.
So in the end, it was kind of like meet in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
mean, that demonstrates to me that you're able to give good advice, but also receive advice as well.
And I think it's important to remember as well that you will work with people who've been in the industry for a long time. So they'll have knowledge that they'll bring that you're not necessarily thinking about. So it's always good to meet people who will give you that advice.
Absolutely.
Well. So,
you mentioned that F&B is high pressure, so you feel comfortable working fast paced, a high pressure environment.
I actually really enjoy it. I think the best thing about it is that you are sort of on your feet. You don't really have time to think about anything else except for what you're doing, and that's actually a bit of a joy in this job as well.
Okay, fantastic. So you mentioned high pressure environment and thinking on your feet, being resourceful. You also mentioned working in a close-knit team and part of a team. So at Frederica's, is it a big team there? Are you a happy team player? Do you get the opportunity to display leadership?
Yes,
perhaps.
Absolutely. So we're quite a close-knit team. We tend to have people join us if we have any catering jobs that come up or which are external. So we might get to sort of work with different agencies that send in people for the day, which is quite nice to have like an outside sort of. It's always nice to meet people who are excited about coming in for the first time. But at the restaurant itself, we all are very, very comfortable and respectful of each other's roles, which I think is really important because I think when it comes to high pressure, people are gonna be sort of not shouting, but they'll be sort of also feeling the pressure, and you'll be hearing things out the kitchen. And I think in F&B you've got to realise that it's not personal. You've got to go with the flow, and it's about getting the best service out to the customers and the best food. So it's something that we've come to learn, and again, like I said, respect about each other, and really kind of know how the other person works. So if they're short-handed on a team or if somebody's off, somebody else can step in. So I'll step in and help in the kitchen, and we do that without sort of specifically being told, because we're all aware of everyone's roles. So that's really nice. I think in terms of leadership, being able to be manager on shift for some of the catering jobs we've done, some of the silver service roles, that's been really nice. It's a different sort of perspective. You sort of get to see the pressure that the managers feel, and why they are the way that they are, and constantly striving for perfection. And you get to appreciate sort of their role from day to day in F&B. And also just then, you know, when I go back to doing my usual role, it allows me to understand how things are working on the back end as well.
Absolutely.
As well as, you know, as we're the front facing, but there's a whole team behind the scenes that make things happen. So, so that's really nice.
So how would your colleagues describe you then?
Really positive.
Nice.
Helpful. And just, I'd say, light, bringing never taking things too seriously, but always trying to find a solution. So
nice.
very like solution driven.
That's great.
Because I think in F&B you have to be solution driven if you want to find a way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And so you've told me a bit about times when you've stepped up into the managerial position. Would that be your example of you having to go above and beyond within the job?
Yes. I mean, even when you have to sort of step into the kitchen and help to wash the dishes, that's still going above and beyond, because I think there are certain roles that people maybe often think doesn't really fall under their remit, and I think in F&B you have to be willing to lend a hand anywhere that's needed. Especially if it's going to affect the sort of flow and chain of things, you know. If the dishes aren't washed, then you can't send food out.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they're short-handed in the kitchen, you can step up.
It's a good example of all the cogs working nicely together.
Exactly. And I think going above and beyond as well in F&B is kind of on the front end. It's more knowing your usual customers, what they like. Always sort of remembering the little special touches.
Yes, you mentioned at the beginning, remembering orders and
and just little things like people come back to celebrate their birthdays and anniversaries. There are people who met at the restaurant before, so it's always quite nice to see them come in. So just sort of remembering and paying attention to detail. That's, I guess, going above and beyond on a customer level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think from behind the scenes, it's, like you said, just getting stuck in what you needed. So
when you're remembering things, does that then include dietary requirements and any specifications like that? And you've got experience, I see from your CV, working with that and understanding the importance.
Yes, absolutely. So in Fredericks we have two separate sort of kitchens where we prepare different dietary requirements. And it's one of the first things that we ask when we get acquainted with the customer, because from the get-go we want to make sure that if they ask for recommendations, we're recommending dishes that sort of fit in with their requirements. And then we make sure we take it back to the kitchen and it's highlighted. We have a whole system where the chef will receive the notification and you'll be able to see on the order that this is
brilliant. Utilising technology and to the benefit of the clientele.
Yes.
Fantastic. And obviously to the benefit of streamlining the whole process and working together as a team. On that note, as far as dietary requirements and food and everything, I believe from your CV you've got your food and hygiene certificate.
Yes.
At Interlux, we encourage employees to renew the certificate every 3 years to comply with health and safety. So would you be prepared to go through the course again and renew?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.
I think it's really great to, I'm sure there's been a lot of changes and updates and things to the actual course itself. So I think in F&B, like you said, it's so fast paced, so it's really important to stay ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the fact that you recognise that is very important as well. We've kind of touched on that already, dietary requirements and why you want to work here. Do you have any questions for me?
Just the regular things. What does sort of the day-to-day look like in this role? If you're able to tell me, and what's the notice period, what's the starting date. So yeah, if I'm able to get sort of a rundown of what that day-to-day looks like, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw in your CV that the reason you're considering more jobs is you want more hours.
Yes.
So that works really well for us because with the high peak season coming up, we've got a lot of need to get people in, and so we'd be looking at utilising you from anywhere from 36 hours to 40 hours a week.
Okay.
So just about full-time hours, and then that will flux depending on peak season and low season. You will be working underneath the food and beverage manager. You'll be part of a big team. The floor will be segmented, so you'll have a specific area of the restaurant you're responsible for. And then from what it sounds like, similar to your current position, you'll be welcoming guests, taking orders, dietary requirements as we stipulated, communicating that with the bar for any drinks, the kitchen for any food, and then just checking in on your clients throughout the time. Because we are such a huge hotel chain, a lot of our clients are repeat, not necessarily from this branch, but from other branches as well. So as I said, they have a very high standard that they expect and that they have received previously. So we want to uphold those values and beliefs, and we try as an employer to work top down and as you mentioned earlier about us having a good reputation culture-wise, we want to share that with our staff so that our staff then share that with their clients, and it's an all-round good experience for everyone.
Will there be any training provided? Sort of like the first day, is there anybody that would shadow?
Yeah, exactly. So we offer training to our staff should they be interested. So for example, if you wanted to represent the first aid team, or if you wanted to do some fire warding training, those are all available throughout the team. All the safety, hygiene, responsible service of alcohol certificate, those will all be expected because we have an open bar, because our staff are going to be expected to serve alcohol. As far as starting date, I saw that you've got a month notice period.
Yes.
That works for us. I mean, the sooner the better as far as we're concerned. As I said, peak season's coming up, and we'd like to get you on board so you feel super comfortable before it gets too busy. As you said, we're going to be having you shadow. We've got the food and beverage manager he's been here for some time now, so you'll be able to work alongside him should you be successful in the application. As far as salary, we comply with the Equity Act, so you'll be receiving at least minimum wage. That is on the basis of having opportunity to take on more responsibility. The longer you stay, there will be appraisals throughout your tenure. I think that's all that I need. Do you have any further questions?
No, I think I'm just going to work on trying to shorten my notice period, and hopefully come on board earlier. That would be great. Is this going to all come through to me if it's successful in the contract, or how does that work? Yeah.
So you will expect to receive a offer letter within the next week. Upon acceptance of the offer, within the offer letter you'll have all the further details, hours, salary, benefits. As a hotel group, we're able to offer some really exciting benefits as far as discounts in all of our venues, our 800 locations across the world, spa, restaurant, everything like that. It's quite generous discount for our staff. So that will all be stipulated within the offer letter. If you accept that, then we'll send you the contract for you to sign. So that should all happen very quickly once we get the ball rolling. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No,
Okay, thank you so much for your time. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and we will be in touch.
Thank you so much.